On the 19th of May 1845, Sir John Franklin and 128 men, along with two ships, the Terror and the Erebus, set out on an expedition to find a passage to the Pacific passing north of Canada. The expedition was a cause for great celebration, as Franklin was a famed explorer and extremely respected naval officer. All was well, and they were making good time, until both the ships became stuck in pack ice near Bathurst Island. Sir John Franklin and his men resolved to retrace their steps on foot, and made it to Beechey Island in the winter of 1846. 3 of their number died of pneumonia on the island, and the rest decided to continue on foot. However, they were never seen again. In 1848, the Arctic Council commissioned a series of expeditions to ascertain the ultimate fate of the Franklin expedition. There was even reward money for anyone who could find out what had happened to the respected John Franklin and his ill-fated crew. It wasn't long before the remains at Beechey Island were found, and stories from the local Inuit told of the men having been reduced to cannibalism. Artifacts were retrieved from the area, and news abounded through the British press of desperation and a long, drawn-out death on the ice for Franklin and his men. The ill-fated voyage caused a sensation, and indeed even inspired artwork, such as Man Proposes, God Disposes by Edwin Landseer. Despite the failure, Sir John Franklin was ultimately immortalised in a cast statue in his hometown of Spilsby. He even recently had a train named after him. His ultimate fate, however, would remain a mystery. However, in 1984, anthropologist Owen Beattie took a team of scientists back to Beechey Island to reinvestigate the case. They excavated the body of John Torrington. The nameplate for his coffin had been made from a tin can cut into the shape of a heart. They carefully removed the blue cloth from his face and revealed a remarkably well-preserved body. Everything from his blonde curly hair to the gelatin in his eyes was still intact. His mouth had been kept shut by tying a handkerchief around his head, and his nose was the only part that had gone slightly rotten because it was jutting out just above the permafrost. He was buried in his sailor's costume, the clothes he wore every day. Samples of hair and bone were taken, and he was reinterred. The samples revealed he had probably died from tuberculosis, pneumonia, and scurvy. However, there was also a very large amount of lead present in his system. This was the key to the mystery of the Franklin expedition. The expedition had made use of cutting-edge technology, specifically the storage of food in tins. Near to the graves was a campsite with a huge pile of tins, and each one of these tins had originally been soldered shut with a mixture of tin and lead. All of their food had been contaminated with lead. This affects your physical strength, but also your ability to make good decisions. The weaker they became, the more they probably ate, and this perpetuated a cycle which ultimately led to their death. It just so happens that John and the 2 other sailors were buried first. The others probably wandered until they simply dropped down dead. The site on Beechey Island has now become a bit of a bizarre tourist destination. However, we would do well never to forget the unhappy and tragic story revealed by the archaeology.